Tom Lee just told us exactly why we need to start preparing right now, especially if we hold XRP or any crypto altcoin for that matter. Now, first, before we really get into what Tom Lee just told us, let's actually take a quick look at the market. Over the last couple of weeks, I have been talking about the signs in which we have to watch for to really get prepared for this market to erupt in a huge way. We got most of it. Number one, stocks are at an all-time high. The M2 supply is expanding in a big way. The Fed seems as if they're on their last major leg before they cut rates, which could happen in the month of July. If it does, the markets are going to surge significantly higher. If not, then we really kind of look for September. But outside of that, I do think that we are going to soon catch up to stocks. And right now, most of the market does seem as if it's really kind of brewing for a big move. Now, on top of that, we are watching Ethereum closely. And the reason why we have to watch Ethereum closely is because the second that Ethereum actually starts to outperform Bitcoin is where we start to hear talks about, possibly Ethereum flipping Bitcoin. Now, we hear this almost every single cycle, that Ethereum is going to flip Bitcoin and, Ethereum is going to do this, Ethereum is going to do that. 9 times out of 10, it never really kind of morphs into reality. I mean, let's just be honest here. But what it does is it provides a lot of hype for Ethereum, which means a lot of people actually start buying up Ethereum, surging Ethereum in value. And then, of course, we have that trickle down the list for altcoins. There's no difference today, okay? The main thing that I'm actually looking at here when it comes to most of these altcoins is how close these altcoins are to really kind of breaking out in a big way. Now, when it comes to XRP, the chart really kind of tells the story. When we look at this chart right now, I don't even have to open up TradingView. I'll open up TradingView here in a second. When we look at this chart, what does this chart tell you? We are in an extended sideways accumulation zone right now. We're consolidating. I've been talking about this over the last couple of weeks on how we're just consolidating in this blue zone, waiting for something to happen. We're waiting for an impulsive move. That impulsive move, in my opinion, won't happen until Bitcoin dominance actually drops. Now, during this time, we are also watching Ethereum, because Ethereum, in terms of the market cap, this is the market cap of Ethereum, and I have this on the 3-week span going all the way back to October of 2021. We could see that we've been just trailing sideways ever since the 2021 high here. We've been bouncing off of macro, trend lines, right? This is the macro trend. And right now we're just kind of consolidating. We've been consolidating this entire time. And it's been, since we made a new all-time high on Ethereum, it's been over 1,337 days. Now, we probably range a little bit longer here just until we really kind of break out in a big way, but I do believe that the Ethereum market cap is brewing for a huge move as well. Now, like I said, I've been talking about the phase 2 of alt season starting. That's when Ethereum starts to outperform Bitcoin. We're not going to get there until the Ethereum Bitcoin charts actually breaks out. This is Ethereum against Bitcoin, and this is what I've been really watching. It's been really slow because this goes all the way back to April when we officially bottomed out. And yes, I do think that this is the bottom for Ethereum Bitcoin because this is a macro level that we just wicked down to, going all the way back here to 2020 and even 2019. I'm just waiting for us to reclaim this upper trend line to really kind of reclaim some major support as well and really get that uptrend starting for Ethereum against Bitcoin. Now, the major sign that this will happen is, number one, Ethereum dominance rising in a huge way against Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance has been extremely strong since going back to 2022, and we've just been patiently waiting for something to happen, something bearish to happen on the Bitcoin dominance chart, because when we start to see Bitcoin dominance drop while Bitcoin is rising, that means that this entire space is going to wake up in a huge way. That's when we look at Ethereum for any signs of life and for the market cap of Ethereum to also wake up in a huge way. But Tom Lee told us on June 2nd that he thinks Bitcoin could hit as high as $250,000 by the end of 2025. Now, it wasn't just $250,000. Listen closely to what he says, because I do agree with him.
95% of all Bitcoin's been mined, but 95% of the world doesn't own Bitcoin. So I just think that there's still a huge demand versus supply imbalance, meaning there's a lot more potential buyers of Bitcoin over the next 10 years. And so I think there's a lot of upside into year end.
Into your like 150 target?
Yeah, 150, maybe 200, even 250 this year.
What? 150 to 200 to even 250. And what's you don't have a terminal price on that, do you?
Well, it's, I think at a minimum it should have the same network value as gold. Mm-hmm. And if you look at above ground gold, it's probably 23 trillion. So that would be, 1.2 million for Bitcoin. But I think Bitcoin is more valuable than gold. So, gold, Bitcoin could be 2 million, 3 million long term. Even higher. 95%.
So he says 150 to 250K by the end of 2025. That's right on par with what I've been thinking, right? 150K, in my opinion, is pretty much going to be, where we really should start to de-risk on crypto. But there's definitely a high possibility that we push to 200K. With how much institutional adoption and how much focus on Bitcoin there is, it wouldn't surprise me if we did search like $200,000. I do think that the next target on Bitcoin is 120K, but what about Ethereum? Well, Tom Lee recently just joined BitMine as a chairman. The company plans to raise $250 million and become the MicroStrategy of Ethereum, amassing one of the largest public Ethereum treasuries. On top of this, we also got this video about how Tom Lee believes that Ethereum is the new Bitcoin. Check this out.
Joining us right now is Fundstrat's Tom Lee. He's also a CNBC contributor. And this morning, he's got some news. Bitcoin miner BitMine Immersion Technologies announcing that Tom will become its chairman. Tom, welcome, first of all. And this is some big news. It's kind of complicated, but probably suffice to say that you all are doing basically what MicroStrategy did with Ether. You're going to make Ether, the purchases that you buy through this, you're going to set this whole thing up like this. You want to explain a little bit?
Yeah, glad to. I'm still a big fan of Bitcoin because I think it is, digital gold. But what we've seen in the last, really in 2025 is the financial services industry and crypto are converging. And it really started with stablecoins, which is the ChatGPT of crypto, right? Because it's viral adoption by consumers, businesses, banks, and now even Visa. Underneath the stablecoin industry is Ethereum. That is really like the backbone and architecture of stablecoins. So it's important to create a project that essentially accumulates Ethereum to essentially protect and have some influence on the network. So that's why we're creating this treasury vehicle to buy Ethereum. The more Ethereum that's accumulated, the more secure the network is. And I think it's also sort of the architecture that future banks will have. When Goldman issues a stablecoin and JP Morgan doing it on Ethereum, as a layer one blockchain, they're going to want to secure it by staking Ethereum. So we're trying to get in front of that by creating a treasury vehicle.
And just so I understand, it's safer if you own more of it. Explain why that would be.
Well, Ethereum is a proof of stake network.
Right.
So unlike Bitcoin, which is proof of work and miners do all the work for you, and that's why you have decentralized trust. In Ethereum, it's important for these entities to essentially validate transactions. So by becoming a staking entity, you're sort of securing the fidelity of stablecoins. So you don't want a stablecoin like USDC or USDT to be on a blockchain that's outside the purview of the U.S. And so I think Ethereum is a high quality, the second largest blockchain network, and it's over 51% of stablecoins, and
right.
30% of all fees on Ethereum are actually stablecoin revenue.
So we even have the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, talking about how stablecoins could be very positive. He likes them, likes to see what's there. But you're basically saying with this, and we've also seen what happened with Circle, the stablecoin issuer,
yes.
Huge run-up after their IPO. So you're basically saying that this is the new Bitcoin, you're getting in at a very early stage?
Correct. That's right. Because let's say stablecoins, which is $250 billion today, gets to Treasury Secretary Bessent's reasonable $2 trillion. That's a 10 times increase in size. By the way, already stablecoins are the 12th largest holder of treasuries. They'll become the number one holder by then. U.S. dollar dominance is 27% in GDP terms. It's 57% of central bank reserves. It's 80% of financial trading transactions. It's 100% of stablecoin denomination. So by getting to 2 trillion, you're ensuring dollar dominance. This is very good for the U.S., but 2 trillion of stablecoins is a lot of network fees for Ethereum.
So BitMine Immersion, what you're doing is a $250 million private placement, which is all going to be put into
Yes,
Ether?
that's right. We created a carefully curated list of investors to bet on this. If you look at the press release, it is the blue chip, both in the financial world and in the crypto world. We have
Founders Fund, Kraken, Galaxy Digital.
Yep,
among the
Pantera.
names.
Yeah, so these are in the crypto world, and these are like sort of the blue chip crypto entities. And of course, Founders Fund is legendary in the traditional financial world.
And how do you measure this? It's just based on exactly how Ethereum is trading?
Well, yeah, the strategy of the company is going to be based on how much Ethereum is held per share.
Okay.
And as of today, it's $4. And the company, as we explained in the press release, can increase its holdings of ETH by, getting yield from Ethereum, doing financing transactions at a premium to their holdings, and of course, if Ethereum goes up. So I think there's 3 ways that value per ETH actually grows.
So yeah, I mean, listen, this is a huge move for Ethereum, and it does spotlight how bullish this will be for Ethereum as well, considering the fact that there's a lot of heavy hitters behind this investment, and it's a huge bet from Tom Lee, and it's one that I actually think will play out in a huge way. And the reason why I say that is because let's go and look at RTY. Most short at RTY soaring, momentum is tanking, and we could see this on the screen. This is the most short rolling, and on the right side, we also have the momentum quant factor, which is just dropping. This is crazy. And what's, crazy about this is the same story is being said for Ethereum. Ethereum shorts are at an all-time high at the same exact time that Tom Lee is now jumping into Ethereum in a huge way through BitMine as a chairman. When we think about this, this could easily lead to a massive short squeeze. And the chart also is really kind of providing us with, a mimic view of 2016 and 2017, where we're consolidating into a spring-like move. If you really look at this, this is basically the red portion is a spring, and then we get that big expansion to the upside. Ethereum right now, in my opinion, is extremely oversold. I really do believe that it is. It's extremely overlooked. The market cap for it has just been trading at resistance levels, even going back to the May 2024 levels. This was the initial, run up that we saw back in April of 2021. We hit resistance right at that level. We never even made it to an all-time high. Even the price for Ethereum, if we actually look at Ethereum, we hit a nice little high level here, and let's actually throw the candles on just so that we could see this. Our max peak so far was back in February of 2024 at about 4,092 compared to an all-time high of 4,891. So again, I do think that Ethereum will explode in a huge way. I think that will lead into the phase 2 of this cycle. I think that Tom Lee making this huge bet provides us with that, insight on how bullish they believe Ethereum is as well. And there's some big money behind this. And he's also explaining to us exactly why Ethereum could be just as big as Bitcoin, and also at a time where altcoins are still just in consolidation. I do think that we are about to move into phase 2, then phase 3, and then of course we finally get our alt season. I don't think that we have a ton of time, obviously. I think that we, have a couple months maybe to prepare, fully, but we never know, right? Anything could break out in a huge way. I feel like this market is brewing for a huge move. I think that we have been, consolidating for now almost 6 months. So, I think that we're ready. I think that this market is ready, especially when it comes to Ethereum. Ethereum has just been brewing and waiting for a big move. I think that the Ethereum Bitcoin chart is extremely oversold back to levels that we have yet to see since going all the way back to 2020, which is, crazy. And I do think that this was our official bottom on the Bitcoin pair for Ethereum as well, which dates all the way back to 2019 even. So With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.